Resonating domes and towers of Australia. Across the Kimberley and parts of the Northern Territory stand countless stone domes and towers, ancient, rounded formations rising from the earth like silent guardians. To conventional geology, they are remarkable natural structures shaped over immense spans of time. Yet many who spend time among them sense something more. There seems to be some kind of natural or perhaps ancient technology at work here. How much do we really know about Earth and universe? Very little. So here we are asking further questions. There is so much we don't understand because our perception, narratives we've been given, our senses are very narrowed down. Nikola Tesla said, "If you want to find the secrets of the universe, think in terms of energy, frequency, and vibration." And he also said, "The day science begins to study non-physical phenomena, it will make more progress in one decade than in all the previous centuries of its existence." This is what our exploration is all about, understanding how Earth works as a great resonant instrument. In our previous video, we talked about the magnificent sacred Kimberley lands and waters of northern Western Australia, a beautiful land of profound spiritual significance to the original people of Australia. Today, I would like to present rock formations which are part of this landscape, a very regional part, its forms and shapes and textures, something very unique to this part of the land. The most iconic of dome and tower-shaped rock formations is Bungle Bungle Range within UNESCO World Heritage listed Purnululu National Park. Hundreds of beehive-shaped sandstone towers rising from the earth, sculpted over 20 million years by wind and water, striped in bands of orange and dark gray. Remarkably, they remained almost entirely unknown outside local Aboriginal communities until 1983, when a film crew flying over a cattle station photographed them for the first time, as though they wanted to remain unseen by uninvited eyes for as long as possible. Nearby, just on the outskirts of the town of Kununurra, sits Mirima National Park, known locally as Hidden Valley and sometimes called the mini Bungle Bungles. Its sandstone formations hold deep significance for the local Miriwung people, and rock art can be found within the park. The Carboid Ranges and Osmond Ranges form part of this wider dome landscape of the East Kimberley, ancient, vast, and largely unvisited. In another sacred place, Arnhem Land in the Northern Territory, lies a remarkable landscape known as the Lost City. There, towering sandstone pillars rise in clusters resembling the ruins of an ancient civilization, complete with what appear to be streets, walls, gateways, and stone buildings. Geologists explain these formations through natural erosion over immense periods of time. Yet standing among them, many visitors experience the same feeling reported in places such as Mirima and the Bungle Bungle, the sense of entering a vast natural cathedral, a landscape whose geometry seems to speak a language older than history itself. These formations may be understood as resonators, vast natural structures that hold, stabilize, and transmit patterns of information and energy through resonance. Every stone vibrates. Every structure possesses its own natural frequencies. A dome is one of the most stable and efficient geometries found in nature and human architecture alike. Throughout history, dome architecture has appeared in temples, cathedrals, observatories, and sacred spaces across many cultures. This raises an intriguing question. What did ancient builders understand about the relationship between geometry, resonance, and consciousness? In the Kimberley, the domes themselves may represent a natural expression of this principle. Rather than viewing them as passive rocks, we might imagine them as part of a vast, resonant network. Each dome acts like a tuning fork. Together, they form a landscape-sized field of resonance, influencing one another, creating relationships between place, geometry, vibration, and awareness, and maybe singing a song while telling the story. When approached with silence, respect, and presence, people often report feeling unusually calm, grounded, or connected. Within the framework of this story, such experiences are not merely emotional reactions, but moments of entrainment, a process through which the human system begins to synchronize with a larger field of coherence. Within this approach, memory is not viewed solely as something stored in brains or books. Memory exists within living systems, landscapes, waters, and stones. Our story suggests that these ancient formations may function as repositories of a different kind of memory of relationship, harmony, belonging, the original nature, origin, and history of humankind and planet. The domes do not teach through words, they teach through resonance. They do not impose information, they invite remembrance. From this perspective, the peace many people experience in places such as Mirima is not an accidental byproduct of beautiful scenery. Peace is the field itself. Stability is the field. Silence is the field. Story they are whispering is a field. These qualities become amplified within the geometry of the landscape. Just as a pyramid concentrates and organizes energy through its form, a dome may stabilize, harmonize, and distribute it. Different geometries, different functions, yet both operating through the universal principles of resonance. Whether understood as geology, sacred geometry, natural architecture, or living memory, the domes invite us into a different relationship with the land, not as observers, not as owners, but as participants within a much larger field of resonance. Perhaps the knowledge stored there is not information waiting to be discovered. Perhaps it is memory waiting to be remembered. I was lucky enough to spend a great deal of time living among these amazing, beautiful, magical rock formations. And one of the things I noticed around them, besides sacred silence and an immense beauty in the rock itself, in the botany, in the shapes, which are almost geometrical. You can see columns. You can see forms that seem designed rather than merely eroded. As I said in my previous video, my very first impression as I entered the dome areas was like I was in a temple. I felt like I was in the most beautiful cathedral. That sacred feeling, that silence, that something. And everything together forms such beautiful visual pleasure that on a few occasions I genuinely thought, this is heaven. And the acoustics of the place, that is something else entirely. So, I sat with those places, thinking and feeling and asking, what are they? Why are they so special? I believe they are resonating meeting points where Earth, Sun, and Cosmos converge, places where energy, information, and relationship are exchanged. Because of this unique convergence, they may function as vast, resonant chambers, holding ancient patterns and memories connected to life, land, and consciousness itself. They are like big data centers, just natural. And because there are so many gathered in one place, they communicate with each other. Each dome has its own qualities, its own character. Together, they form a living, breathing, very alive natural system. Not a collection of rocks, but a community. They are like singing resonant bodies, bell alike, and they create an amazing, energetic, very potent field. Every single one of them holds its own toroidal field, which is stable, potent, and holds its own frequency. That is why the land around them feels so uplifted spiritually, because of that memory and that potency held within each dome and flowing between them all, and because they act as bridges between worlds, different dimensions, star clusters, and densities, as gates or portals to different worlds, which usually are out of our perception. If we pilgrimage to those places, if we take time, sit by them, swim in those waters, touch them, something happens. We are sometimes momentarily, and this happened to me many times, we are transported into an altered state of mind, into an expanded state of consciousness, which is, in my opinion, a far more natural state of consciousness than what we experience today. our brain shifts towards alpha and theta waves, and that is very different perception, a different world. We experience so much more of the 99.65% of reality that we cannot ordinarily see. And moving forward, in this evolution of ours, in this shift we call New Earth, it means expanding our perception, discovering our senses beyond what we have today as humans, training them, expanding them, growing into communication with everything, with trees, with animals, with people on deeper, more truthful level, with all of life. Natural healing, original design. They are also natural healing devices. They restore harmony in our bodies, minds, and souls. Just standing by them relaxes you so deeply. Their frequencies are very gentle, very beautiful, because rocks vibrate slowly and stably, and we as humans tend to be restless and scattered. The rocks carry the quality of stability, and when we are among them, when we touch them, that stability resonates onto us. We become more stable, we become present, we become coherent, we become calm. And within that stability, our senses can expand without getting lost in the endless worlds and possibilities out there. What I also believe is stored within those domes is the memory of original human design. And if we place our bodies there, if we sit, stand, rest there, the body gets the opportunity to remember itself, to remember its incredible beauty and function, which we will explore further in future videos. Lemurian memory and the greater purpose. Those domes have been there for so long, storing memory for us, sustaining frequencies and vibrations, maintaining ongoing communication between Earth and cosmos, holding all of this together for us until the time is right, so that when the time is right, we walk back to those sacred sites and remember, and become again what we once were. One more thing I believe, the Kimberley and also the Northern Territory, and perhaps other parts of Australia I have not yet explored that much. These places were once part of what we call today Lemuria, or Mu. And so those domes are also storage for Lemurian memory, memory that has been waiting, memory that knows when to speak. And now we are going to explore how it works, technically. The material. Quartz. The story begins with the rocks themselves. The domes and towers of Northern Australia are primarily composed of quartz-rich sandstone. This detail is important. Quartz is one of the most remarkable minerals found in nature. Modern technology uses quartz in watches, radios, oscillators, sensors, and communication systems because of its remarkable stability and one extraordinary property, piezoelectricity. Under pressure, quartz generates tiny electrical charges. When electrical energy is applied to it, it vibrates with extraordinary consistency. This is why we put quartz in every precision device that requires stable, reliable frequency. From the watch on your wrist to the radio transmitter sending signals across continents. This does not mean the bungle-bungles are giant quartz crystals, but it does mean these landscapes contain immense quantities of a material that humans deliberately use whenever stable resonance is required. And science confirms that the lithosphere, the rock layer of Earth itself, generates piezoelectric potentials through the tidal forces applied to it. The quartz in the crust responds to pressure, generating oscillating electric fields rhythmically, continuously, in concert with the movements of Earth, Moon, Sun, and further out into universe. The Earth is constantly showered with cosmic rays, particles produced by an energetic universe, stars exploding in supernova, black holes accelerating matter to near the speed of light, neutron stars colliding and producing flashes of gamma radiation. These particles travel across galactic distances and strike this Earth continuously. An ancient quartz-rich stone records their passage. The crystal structure itself carries the signature of what has moved through it across hundreds of millions of years. The domes are not passive. They have been listening to the stars for a very long time. Every object has a resonant frequency. Every physical structure has a natural frequency. A bell rings, a guitar string vibrates, a cave resonates. A cathedral amplifies sound. Even mountains possess measurable vibrational modes. Earth itself continuously vibrates, generating a constant background hum through oceans, weather systems, atmospheric activity, and seismic processes. This is measurable. This is real. And there is something else, the Schumann resonance. These are a set of extremely low-frequency electromagnetic peaks in Earth's field, generated in the cavity formed between Earth's surface and appearing in Earth's own resonant tones. Her fundamental frequencies, sustained continuously by the electrical relationship between the ground and the sky, and the sun reaches directly into this system. Solar flares emit radiation that directly affects the ionosphere and shifts Schumann resonance frequencies. The sun literally tunes and retunes Earth's electromagnetic voice. More remarkable still, significant correlations have been found between the human autonomic nervous system and solar wind, cosmic ray counts, Schumann resonance power, and variations in Earth's magnetic field. Human heart rate variability synchronizes with these geomagnetic rhythms. People in separate locations, sharing the same field, synchronize with each other through it. We are not separate from this system. We are participants in it. The question, therefore, is not whether the domes vibrate. Everything vibrates. The question is how they vibrate and what they are vibrating with. The function of the dome. The bungle-bungle formations possess a remarkable beehive geometry. Nature repeatedly arrives at similar forms because curved structures distribute forces efficiently. Beehives, eggs, termite mounds, domes, the shape is naturally stable. Yet beyond stability, domes possess another property. They interact with sound and vibration. Curved surfaces reflect, focus, and redistribute waves. Domes create standing wave patterns and support resonance. Whether nature alone created them or whether an intelligence participated in their formation remains an open question. What matters first is understanding what the geometry does. The geometry itself has function. The function of towers. If domes gather, towers connect. Lost City presents a different geometry altogether. Tall sandstone towers rise from the landscape like the remnants of an ancient stone city. From a resonance perspective, towers are particularly interesting because they couple different layers of the environment simultaneously. The ground, the atmosphere, the wind, temperature gradients, electrical conditions, and all influences and information from Earth's vibrant life and greater universe. Modern antennas operate by interacting with existing fields. They do not create energy. They receive and transmit energy already present. Stone towers are not metal antennas, yet their geometry naturally allows them to interact with multiple environmental forces at once. One tower is interesting. Hundreds of towers become a network, and the East, Kimberley, and Northern Territory hold thousands. The landscape as an instrument. When viewed individually, each dome and tower appears to be a separate formation. When viewed together, a different picture emerges. Thousands of resonant forms, varying heights, different diameters, repeating patterns, quartz-rich material, interconnected geological foundations and different materials and textures. To an engineer, this begins to resemble not isolated objects, but a system, not necessarily a machine, a network. Much like a pipe organ contains pipes of different lengths, producing different tones, a landscape filled with structures of different sizes naturally supports a broad spectrum of resonant frequencies. The continent itself begins to resemble a vast instrument, tuned over hundreds of millions of years, and this instrument receives input from three directions simultaneously. From below, the piezoelectric pulse of Earth's own movement, tidal rhythms, seismic breath. From the horizon, the Schumann field, the electromagnetic heartbeat of the planet, the electrical dialogue between ground and ionosphere. From above, solar radiation, cosmic rays, the continuous shower of stellar information that has been striking this quartz-rich landscape since before life walked the earth. The sun tunes the field. The stars write their signatures into the stone. The domes do not merely sit in a landscape. They stand at the convergence of earth, sun, and cosmos, the hidden resonators. Sandstone is not a solid block of stone. Within it exist countless microscopic pores, cavities, cracks, and channels. In some formations, a significant portion of the rock volume consists of empty space. A flute produces sound because of a resonant chamber. A bottle whistles, a cave resonates because of this. The same principles apply at every scale. Within a single dome may exist billions of microscopic resonant chambers, each one contributing an almost imperceptible vibration, individually insignificant, collectively immense. A single insect produces little sound. A million insects create a chorus. A single resonator contributes little. Billions generate a measurable field. Hearing beyond the ears. Human hearing represents only a narrow band of perception. We feel vibration through skin, through bone, through pressure, through the nervous system. Long before thunder becomes audible, we may sense its arrival. Frequencies are often experienced as feeling rather than sound. Perhaps when people describe certain places as humming, singing, alive, or sacred, they are not imagining something. Perhaps they are responding to a complex field of subtle sensory information that exists below ordinary awareness, not necessarily audible, but perceptible. And the body has its own crystalline structures. Bone mineral is piezoelectric. The collagen in our tissues carries electrical properties. The water in our cells is a conductive medium that transmits frequency. When we stand against a quartz-rich dome and place our palms or our ear to the stone, we may be completing a circuit. Can stone remember? Among the many questions raised by the domes and towers of Australia, one of the most intriguing is also one of the oldest. Can stone remember? At first glance, the question appears poetic rather than scientific. Yet the deeper we look, the more interesting it becomes. Information can be stored in many forms. Books store information through symbols. Computers store information through electrical states. DNA stores information through molecular structures. And landscapes store information too. A geologist can examine a rock and reconstruct events that occurred millions of years ago. Ancient rivers, floods, volcanic eruptions, shifting continents. The stone contains evidence of what happened, the lands and waters dreaming about past. In this sense, rocks are already archives. The earth is already a library, living library. One of the most surprising discoveries of science catching up is that quartz can store vast amounts of information for extraordinary lengths of time. Using ultra-fast lasers, researchers can write microscopic patterns directly inside quartz glass, creating memory storage capable of preserving data for potentially millions or even billions of years. Quartz is also piezoelectric, meaning it responds to pressure, vibration, electricity, and light in remarkable ways. If resonance is the organization of patterns, then these ancient formations may be far more dynamic than once imagined. Long-lived participants in Earth's ongoing symphony of energy, vibration, and safely stored and well-preserved information. The quartz has capacity to store information long before tech companies figured they could use it. So, do not go beyond our heads thinking we know it all. The truth is, again, we only understand a tiny little portion of this reality. Every moment leaves an imprint. Every interaction contributes to the ongoing story of the landscape. Perhaps memory is not a thing stored somewhere. Perhaps memory is a pattern that persists, and perhaps someone left that pattern for us, safely stored within those formations. A violin played for decades develops a unique voice. A river remembers the paths it has carved, a forest carries the legacy of past fires. Complex systems retain traces of their history. The past influences the present. Many original traditions of this land speak of country as remembering, that stories and knowledge belongs to places, that events remain connected to places. The land itself participates in memory. Modern science measures physical traces. Traditional knowledge speaks of living relationship. Perhaps both are describing different aspects of the same reality. And at the end of the day, songlines are memories stored in landscapes, too, right? The domes and towers may accumulate its signature of their relationship with the world, millions of years of happening. Perhaps this is why certain places feel different, not because they are supernatural, but because they have been listening for a very, very long time. Deep listening and the song of country. Many stories. Original to this land describe practices of profound listening, not listening to the land, listening with it. One of the most beautiful expressions of this understanding is dadiri, deep inner listening and quiet awareness. This is not metaphor. This is a sophisticated technology of perception developed across tens of thousands of years of intimate relationship with country. Shared widely by Elder Dr. Miriam Rose Ungunmer Baumann, dadiri is far more than just hearing. It is a way of being. Key components of the practice include deep inner silence, stability, observation, and communication with all that is. Dr. Miriam likes to say that dadiri is deepest cure for humanity. Perhaps the original people were not hearing secret frequencies unavailable to others. Perhaps they simply listened more deeply. After tens of thousands of years of living with these formations, walking among them, singing with them, people may perceive patterns and relationships that modern cultures, distracted by noise and speed, have lost access to. Many traditional sounds appear closely connected to natural environments: bird calls, animal voices, wind, water, seasonal rhythms. Many indigenous traditions speak not of inventing songs, but of receiving, learning, remembering, participating in them. And talking to ancestors, trove them. Perhaps music originally emerged as a dialogue with the vibrating world. The land was never silent, the listeners changed, and they listen to something else these days. The didgeridoo principle. The didgeridoo offers a powerful symbol. At its simplest, it is a resonant chamber. Breath enters, the chamber responds. A stable drone emerges. The player does not force the resonance. They establish the conditions for resonance to occur. The shape determines the harmonics. The flow sustains them. The same principle appears throughout nature. Wind through a canyon, air moving through a cave, atmosphere interacting with stone formations, sun energizing a quartz field, stars writing into ancient mineral memory. Resonance emerges through relationship, not force. And this is exactly what living among the domes teaches. You do not go to those places and take something. You go and become part of the field. You arrive in silence and respect. You touch. You listen. You allow the resonance to move through the water in your body. You remember. And you always ask for permission. Maybe, just maybe, the didgeridoo sings out what the tree, its ancestors, its relatives, and all the surrounding land witnessed and experienced during their time. And maybe, just maybe, in the long, bright Kimberley nights, when the stars seem so close you could almost touch them, they whisper to the trees, the rocks, and the waters what is unfolding in the vastness of the universe. And perhaps this is a real disclosure, meeting, place of ancestors. Could those domes and towers be a meeting place for us and for our long-forgotten ancient ancestors? Could those places be storage of our so-missed memories of our previous existences and of our real history? These are not small questions. They are perhaps the most important questions we can ask as we stand in this time of great remembering. If the stone carries pattern, if the quartz holds frequency, If the dome gathers and the tower transmits, then what has been held within these formations across geological time is not merely geological data. It may be us, our story, our origins, the memory of what we were before we forgot. The domes and towers of the eastern Kimberley have stood through ice ages, through floods, through the rise and fall of civilizations. They have been receiving, storing, and transmitting continuously, while the world around them changed beyond recognition. They waited, and perhaps they are still waiting. The song never stopped. As Uncle Bill, a Wardaman elder from the nearby Northern Territory, expressed that our ancestors sang this land into existence, maybe they are still singing. We just need to pay attention and give respect to hear them again. Maybe Northern Australia, this still relatively unspoiled, beautiful, ancient land, can help us with that. The domes have been here far longer than our forgetting. They hold what we have lost. They speak in frequencies older than language. Whether understood as geology, sacred geometry, natural architecture, or living memory, the domes invite us into a different relationship with the land, not as observers, not as owners, but as carers, friends, and co-creators within a much larger field of resonance. Perhaps the knowledge stored there is not information waiting to be discovered. Perhaps it is memory waiting to be remembered. The greatest journey leads inward, into stillness, into silence, into the kind of listening that requires the whole body, the whole heart, the diri, deep listening. The land has been singing all along, and perhaps, if we become quiet enough, we can finally hear it again. In our next exploration, we will journey from the icy realm of Antarctica to the warm turquoise waters of the Kimberley. Guided by humpback whales and the songs they carry across thousands of kilometers of ocean, we will explore the hidden relationship between these two extraordinary places and the ancient stories that may connect them. So climb aboard. The whales are waiting, and a new journey is about to begin.